It's a new week in the Crew Motorfest, and we have a new summit, and this one is for a car, the FORSBERG Dominion Summit. Let's go. All right, before we get into this, huge shout out to Simgii for helping out with the cuts and the lines on this one. I appreciate it. Go check out his channel. The link is in the description down below. Let's get into it, man. The cars that you're going to need for the Summit bundle are the FORSBERG Racing Nissan 370Z East African Safari Z. Too many names. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 different names in that one name. Anyways, I made it longer by saying these other two sentences. The Lamborghini Murcielago LP640 in the drift category, and the Ferrari 488 GT3 racing car. The additional vehicles that you're going to need are the RB14, which is an AGP car, and then the 110, which is a hypercar, and then a boat and a plane. All of those four vehicles you want Scorebreaker with Pure and Skilled as your affixes, and then make sure Skilled is maxed out both on the parts and the legendary points. All right, aside from that, you're going to want the Gallardo Super Trofeo racing car and a Peugeot rally car. You're going to need those for the events. All right, the keys to this summit are shortcuts and the pro settings, particularly on the African Safari Z. That thing is just an absolute bear to drive, and the pro settings do actually help a little bit for that. All right, speaking of the pro settings, here are the pro settings for all the vehicles I just mentioned. All right, the first event is called Dominion Time Attack. Now this one is a little bit tricky because there's a few little cuts and jump skips that you're going to need to know. Nothing crazy off this very beginning spot though, just a straight drive into this first corner. My first tip is on this little jump here, control your speed and downshift if you can. Drift off the side, and then I kind of got close to that. You can do it a little better than that, but extend this to the left side, and then downshift and take this corner. Try not to put your wheel on that inside curb. That really messed me up. But this was my best run, so I left it in. Heading into this next corner, just all about controlling speed. Cut these corners as sharp as you can and control your speed on this one. On this part at 24%, you're gonna go around to the right on both of that ramp and this one. Just stay to the right and then cut this corner. You can cut this corner at 35%. NOS in the air here to clear the pipe. Then on these jumps, you're going to want to NOS in the air. There's a line that you can take where you cut to the right on this jump and full NOS. However, it is very challenging to clear the entire second jump. So I don't recommend this because we're in a bone stock Z. It's just not worth it. So here's what I do. We take the jump at a little bit of an angle, and the same thing here. Just turn the car, control it, and then NOS in the air. All right, so this is 69%. Notice I enter a drift super early. These are the stunts on Hoonigan Island. The car actually magnetizes to those rings when you're in a drift, as long as you have stunt assist on comfort or on sport, but comfort's probably the best option. So go into your difficulty settings and make sure stunt assist is on comfort, and watch how this, see how it just grabs on and pulls you around the turn. That's what you're going to want to do, and you're going to do it for all of these circles. See how it just pulls you around. You can enter it with a ton of speed. You don't have to brake at all, and you can just, as long as you're in a drift, the stunt circle will grab you. See, it just grabs the car, keeps me there, no problem. So it allows you to take these turns very, very quickly. Now I actually missed a line here. This is at 85%. You can go around and down the ramp that's on the right side over here. So just almost drift this corner and just kind of get close to the inside, because it'll give you credit for the checkpoint, but you can go down the ramp as opposed to going over this jump. It definitely will increase your, or decrease your time, excuse me. See, when you go over this jump like I did, you have to slow down so that you don't go off course. Again, use the stunt assist on these. See, it just hooks you, man. And that's it, man. You are home free. All right, the next event is called number 2 Dominion Outrun. Now on this one, I use the Gallardo, and this is really just all about skill. There is no like real cuts to this race, just all about how well you can take this course, the lines that you're taking, and the gutter turns and things like that. I'm going to fast forward to the uphill sections where the gutter turns are really important, and there's a couple of tips in there that I want to show you guys. There is one turn right here at 14 where you're going to want to hit the gutter. You can take it a lot faster than I did, but that's definitely a gutter turn. You'll do the same thing right here at 27%. Make sure you get into that gutter. I missed it. And of course, my speed suffered. All right, here's where some of the trickiness happens. You want to take this gutter on the inside. Just helps you take that corner with full speed. And then you don't need to be in the gutter there as long as you controlled yourself, but I was a little bit out of control. So I ended up in the gutter by mistake. Now this is just high speed sections. Nothing real tricky here. Just make sure you stay on the road. But upcoming over here, you're going to cut across the grass. I know I said there's no cuts, but this one's kind of an obvious cut. You want to aim for just right of this pole. I think I took the pole out on accident. Didn't mean to do that. Actually need to be just to the right of the pole, and that's where you want to be. But basically cut across the grass and just kind of keep turning because the road actually curves to the left. So just keep turning, keep turning, keep turning, because you don't want to end up in this grass over here on the right. And then you can nos out of that. Another tricky turn is right here at 81%. Make sure you're guttering that. Then full nos out of it. You're going to want to control speed through here. I didn't, and that's why I lost my traction there on those corners. Didn't mean to drift that. Again, control speed on this corner. Make sure you're in the gutter there. Again, in the gutter here, control speed. Notice how I'm just kind of dipping into the gutter and just going out. No gutter here. Nos to the finish. You're good to go. All right, this one is number 3. It's called Dominion Rally. And this is with the worst car in the Summit. This is going to be a source of a lot of frustration for you guys because the gas pedal steers this car. So you really need to pay attention on sharper turns. You need to go at half throttle. Otherwise, you will oversteer and drift this car. And then when you're drifting it, you're going to snap it back and it's going to want to drift and be all crazy. Control your throttle as much as you can. It's the best tip I can give you for this car. Just go a little bit slower if you have to. It's okay. All right. For the first part, stay left here. Go as close to the trees, knock through those barriers, do whatever you got to do. And the same thing applies on this checkpoint up here. Try to stay left. Left more than what I did. More left, more left. There you go. Don't hit the tree though. Notice how I'm sliding. You can actually take that around 120 in 5th gear. I didn't do it great. Anyways, there's a couple of tricky spots here. Stay a little bit right. Go towards the checkpoint, turn in the air, and drift onto the bridge. It's a very strange thing, but you got to do it. Now this section right here is the most tricky out of the entire thing, but it actually will help you a lot with your time. See this big tree on the right here? You're going to want to get close to it, but there's a bump here at the bottom of this tree where the roots go down, and if you hit that, it's going to completely throw you off, so you don't want to hit that. In this clip, I actually did the shortcut fairly well, the best I've done it out of like a million attempts. So it's going to be a source of frustration for you, but try to look at the lines that I'm taking. I'm actually going to slow this down maybe if I can. Let me see. I can't. All right. We're going to just play through it and I'll pause it if I need to. So after this big tree on the right, it's a left turn. Control your speed. You're looking at this section directly in front of my car, these trees. You're going to cut through there. Control your speed. Control your speed. See this big gap right here in the trees? You're going to cut to the left of this giant tree right here. Hopefully you can see my mouse okay. And in between this one, it's very tight. It's very hard to hit, but it makes a big difference on your overall times because it allows you to get a wider angle on the next turn. So here it goes. Turn left because you want to avoid this tree on the right, and then back right. I did it okay. Now, when you go through here, you want to stay to the right of the flag, or just slow down and take the turn. I ended up slowing down and take the turn. In this clip, I fail, but this was the cleanest I've gotten the shortcut, so I wanted to show it to you. So wherever I fail, I'm going to cut it and I'll go to the next clip. This is a drift corner here. Notice the car's oversteering like crazy every time I try to hit the NOS or the pedal. Now, right here at about 51 or 52%, you reset at this checkpoint. All right, when you get out of the reset, NOS through this water, Now, this part's pretty wide open. You just don't want to go too hard. Like I said, you need to control your throttle as much as you can. Stay on the road here. This uphill section is kind of tricky. You're going to want to point your car to the right because you will lose it. This hill is going to throw you guys off the most. It's an off-camber turn. You're going to need to turn left, but the hill falls off to the right. So as you can see, I'm already pointing the car to the left. You want to cut up this hill more than you think you should to make it right. Cut up the hill, nos, 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 because you're going to need to go to the left of this big tree. There you go. I was out of control, but I made it, didn't fall. This one, I would have rather have stayed a little to the left because as you can see, my car's bumping around, slows me down a little bit, but point your car to the left on this jump because you want to land on the beach. Land on the beach, use some nos, go through the water, try to stay on the beach as much as possible here, and then go through it. All right, this turn at 83, just control your speed because you will hit a tree and it's sort of sharp. There you go. And then you can sort of nos out of that and get going towards the end. You can cut this flag on the right a little bit, not too much though, because there are trees that'll stop you in your tracks. Notice how I'm controlling speed. I'm not full throttle through this section. And then the final jump, point to the left, because the finish is on the left and you'll fall off that hill. And that's it. Good luck. Try not to get frustrated. I did. Took me a million attempts. All right, the next event is called number 4, Dominion Rally. Again, this was the 4th event of the summit. There's not a whole lot tricky in this beginning section, so we'll just fast forward to the part where it starts to get a little bit rough. All right, coming up here after this right-hander, you're gonna cut to the left and go towards the bridge. I took a little bit of a weird line, ended up going very close to that bridge wall. You can go faster and cut more to the left if you can get the line right. Coming through here, downshift and make sure you're in the gutter. And then a lot of these turns are just gutter turns. They're important to make sure you hit because, well, you just won't take that turn very fast if you don't. This turn at 59% is a heavy braking double downshift. Try to get in that gutter. I actually missed it, but if you do hit that gutter, you can go a lot faster in that section. All right, the checkpoint right here at 77% is going to be your signal for the cut up and over the hill. What you're looking for is that little tent. So right after this checkpoint, we'll move forward just a little bit so you can see it. See this little tent right here on the right? These little, whatever summit tents. You're going to want to aim for those. Then up the hill, in between these two palms here, aiming for this smaller palm. And then when you get past those palms, you're going to need to make a right. Look at the minimap. See how I'm lined up with the path that's on the other side of this hill? That's exactly where you want to go. And of course, use your nos in the air. It's just a much faster way than taking that corner naturally. All right, after that, there's a couple of gutter turns and that's about it. This hard one here. And then if we fast forward, the final right-hander is also difficult. I actually did a little wall tap there. Didn't slow me down too much, but definitely hurt my time by a couple seconds. All right, the next event is called Dominion Rally. This is the second one. This is number 5 on the summit. And this one's honestly just about keeping your speed with your nos. There's not a whole lot of tricky parts, but you can cut the inside of these right flags. See the right side of that? You can just really cut super hard on the inside. I use my nos a little bit on the air on this jump. Get a little bit of speed. Again, cut the inside of this flag. You can cut it even harder than that. I went wide there as a test route, but I really don't think that's a good idea because the rocks are there. And then on this first lap, I actually go wide up onto the hill, but I think I scrubbed a lot of speed. I'll fast forward to the second lap once we get through with this. Little bit of air nos here, but control speed. You want to hit to the right of this flag. Drift left. You can actually go more left than that. Cut to the right through these little hills here and try to go to the right of that flag. I mean, it's hard, but just give it a shot. Air nos here is important. Get to 6th. Again, air nos here is important. And that's basically your lap. On the second lap, these two turns are a little bit more difficult. So you're going to have to drift them as opposed to gripping them, which you do on the first lap. me fast forward to this uphill section. All right, so I found this to be a little bit faster. You go wide a little bit, cut towards the right side flag, and then drift. And the car sort of settles down and stays there. And if you noticed, the speed went from 120 to 109, and that's it. I dropped below 100 on the first lap, so that's how I prefer to take that one. All right, the last event is called Dominion Drift, and this is with the Murcielago. So make sure you have Hothead and Slippery as your affixes. It does not matter what set bonus you use, but make sure you have Hothead and Slippery completely maxed out. 8% on Hothead, 14% on Slippery on all 7 of your parts. You also need to go and check your legend points. Make sure both of these affixes are maxed out on that as well. That'll help you get the biggest score possible. Now, because this is a closed course, and obviously you know that you're supposed to be drifting, you're gonna wanna just not hit anything and keep your multiplier alive. The only way to keep your combo alive, so you need to be drifting, then transition and drift again. You can use NOS to get you away from the walls. If you get too close, just turn it in a little bit more. Use some NOS like you're seeing in the background gameplay. It's pretty easy. The score that you should be shooting for is around 900,000 points. If you get 900,000 points on this event, which is actually really doable, even if you hit a wall, you can still get 900,000 points. If you do that, you're looking at 157,000 summit points. So don't worry about all these insane scores like 2 million or 1.9, anything like that you're seeing at the top of the list. You don't need that. You need 900,000. That should be your goal. Just try to get through the entire course without hitting anything and with keeping your multiplier alive. Now, with the tune for this Murcielago, you're gonna wanna transition your drifts as late as possible. You do not want to transition early because the car flicks on a dime. It's just the way I've tuned it. It's the way I like to have the car, and it actually rewards you with more points because you spend less time transitioning and more time drifting. So anyway, that is my advice for this one. Let's see what the feats are all about. All right, moving into the feats, they're all pretty self-explanatory. I took them straight on, didn't go backwards or anything like that, transitioned normally, and just made sure all of the vehicles that I was using had both skilled and pure as my affixes and score breaker for the set bonus. That's all you gotta do. If you just do that and don't miss any of the bullseyes, just keep hitting them, you'll definitely get a good score on all 3 of them. That being said, I'm gonna let them play through. That way you can see exactly what I did and how many mistakes I made and still got really good scores. And yeah, that's it. So we'll see you at the end of these for the final scores. All right, here are my final scores. Remember, you guys can DM me with any questions you might have about this summit or anything really. Send me those questions on Instagram or Discord. Just send me a direct message. All good. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope this thing helps, and I will catch you on the next one. Trigger out.